LBR LBO Debrief Business Climate Outlook of 2016.
I'm going to just over the next 15 minutes quickly take you through the highlights of the budget and the impact of the budget on the various sectors. So it's going to be a fairly quick presentation because I'm sure you'll find the panel much more interesting. Okay. All right, so this is what I plan to cover, which is the budget overview, the concept of the simplified tax regime, which has been touted in the budget speech, the changes to indirect taxes, the new levies and charges, and the impact on key sectors. All right, what you see up there is a broad overview of the revenue and expenditure. It is expected under the budget that we will come down, small reduction in the deficit from 6%, which is expected this time, to 5.9. But with all of these deficits, we have to wait and see when it actually happens, because sometimes supplementary estimates mess up all of these things. But that's a quick look at the budget overview, the expected deficit. And the next slide tells you the expenditure allocation. You will see that there is significant increases in the education and health sector, infrastructure, and of course other goods and services. So these are some of where the monies that are going to be spent next year are going into. Of course, there is a lot of debate about how some of the numbers are worked, but I think there is a justification for the numbers. All right, let's look at the simplified tax regime. One of the things that the Honorable Minister of Finance was saying is that he wants to have a tax regime where you can have your tax return in a page. And I think with the structure that has been suggested, that can be achieved. For example, the income tax rate for individuals, companies, has basically gone into a 2-slab rate. We currently have a standard rate of 28%, but of course we have several sectors or industries which have concessional tax rates ranging from 10% to 12%, depending on whether they are education or exports, etc. And currently we have betting and gaming and liquor and tobacco at 40%. Now what the budget is proposing is that there will be 2 rates. One is what they call the higher rate, which is 30% for betting and gaming, liquor and tobacco, banking and finance, insurance, leasing and trading activities, which is a 10% reduction from the 40% tax rate that was applicable to betting, gaming and liquor. And then of course, there is an additional surcharge of 25% for tobacco, the favorites, which is the tobacco, liquor, betting and gaming. So effectively, we are going to have 2 rates. One is a 30% rate and the balance everybody else at 15% flat rate. So that's the for corporate taxes. For individuals also, there has been a significant change going from the current where you pay 4% going up to 24% with a tax-free allowance of 500 for people, and for employed people under payee you have a 750 allowance. That has been brought up to 2.4 million. So effectively those who get up to 200,000 rupees will not pay any payee tax. Anything above will be a flat rate of 15%. So there is no 4, 8, 12 rates. It will be a flat 15%. One of the things that this does do is it makes Sri Lanka have the lowest individual personal tax rate. I think we are below Hong Kong and Singapore as well, which have 17, 18%. So at 15% we do get into the lowest tax rate bracket. I have been talking to some of my partners overseas and they have been fairly impressed with the particular provisions that have been introduced. And also I think the 2.5 million threshold is one of the highest in the region. So it's a fairly generous allowance. ESC has been increased from 0.25% to 0.5%. See, economic service charge is something like the minimum tax that is there. Earlier, if you were a loss or an exempt company, you paid 0.25%, and that could be set off from a future tax that will be payable up to a period of 5 years. Now they have increased that to 0.5, payable both for those who are having losses and but also the profitable company. Profitable company doesn't make an impact because you get set off against your taxes. But the limit for 3 years. So if you have losses and you pay ESC, the limit is only for 3 years. Beyond that, the limit, it can't be carried forward. They have removed several levies. The share transaction levy, the earlier regime, we had a STL, which was charged. And once a STL was paid, capital gains and stamp duty and all the other things were exempt. So by taking STL off, there was a worry at one time, will capital gains come back on shares, but it has been clarified that that won't happen. So basically, STL will come off, stamp duties also will come off, so that, that's the move I see as trying to enhance the stock market. The tourism development levy has been taken off, construction guarantee, and the luxury and semi-luxury taxes we pay on motor vehicle levies have been taken out. So these are the removal of some of the levies that have been done. Changes to indirect taxes. Now this is something you need to watch. Earlier for VAT, we had export of goods and services 0, and that remains unchanged, still 0. Earlier we had a standard rate of 11%. Now there is a 2-rate system, 8% and 12.5%. So 8% is for manufacturing and import of goods will be 8%. For everybody else is 12.5%. The threshold also has been reduced to 3 million a quarter from 3.75. And I think one interesting thing will be that also the removal of VAT on wholesale and retail. So this concept of deemed VAT, which was there under the earlier provisions, will now no longer exist. NBT has been increased from 2 to 4%, and threshold also has been reduced from 3.75 to 3 million. One of the limit that was there, 25 million, was taken out, so it will apply even for smaller companies. New levies and charges, there are some new levies. International telecom operators levy has gone up from 9 cents to 12 cents, US dollar cents. Emission levy, company registration annual fee, there is some levies. I'm not going into the detailed numbers. I'm trying to stay at a high level. Voluntary liquidation fee, changes in airline tickets. Now every time you buy an airline ticket, there's an increase charge, $2. Fee for registration of local, there was a issue with the local assembled cars. There was a big problem where several cars were there which are not able to be registered. There is provision now that if you do it before March, you pay 1 million for a car and some 750,000 for a van. Vehicle valuation certificate, environmental fee, resident visa fee. So these are some new levies that has been introduced in the budget. Right? I'm not going into each one of them individually because that will take time. Let's look at what are the proposals that are in the budget to encourage investments. I think one of the significant ones was this, the removal of land lease and restriction of land ownership on identified investments. I think this was a major problem. I know through the chamber and everybody lobbied, but there was absolutely no interest earlier of doing this. But now the lease on tax on leases has been taken out. And for land transfer, if it is for certain identified large-scale projects, the ownership can be given. But it will be not for just buying houses or land like that. It will be for major projects only. They also offer to provide state lands for investment in lagging regions, replacing BOI with the Agency for Development. I only hope that it's not a changing of pillows. And the important thing is that complete application process to be finished within 50 days. I think that's a useful point, that from the date you apply, within 50 days, you either get a yes or no for your approval. And I remember the minister said that if you don't, somebody asked him what happens if you don't get approval in 50 days, then the head will change, he said. So anyway. So setting up of a Colombo International Financial Center, introducing a foreign exchange management bill. I think that's a good point, because one of the things that I know people have said trying to reform our Exchange Control Act was a virtual impossibility. So I think they're done, I think the wise thing in just dumping the whole thing and bringing in a new, which is the Foreign Exchange Management Bill will come in, which will actually replace the Exchange Control Act that we have. There will be an Investment Act which will look at granting incentives. An Exim Bank is planned to be set up. The securities SIA account, securities investment account, where it was, if you brought money through an SIA account, then you can take it back without having to go to exchange control. That has been taken out. Now you can bring it through any formal banking system. I think it couples with the fact that when you take the exchange control out, what happened when you had SIA, that circumvented the need to go to exchange control approval to send your money back or send your investment bank or your profits. But now that they're taking that out, I think the need for a separate SIA may not be relevant. This is my personal view. Removal of stamp duty on REITs and share certificates, I think is a good move, because REITs is been talked about for quite some time. Only question I wonder is how they're going to manage the removal of stamp duty on REITs, because this may be a provincial matter, but I think they will find a way of sorting it out. Removal of income tax and withholding tax to corporate debt securities, and dividend exemption on listed shares for non-citizens and foreigners. Okay, let's look at the quick, I'm going to run through a few sectors, not all of the sectors, but main sectors, and see what the impact of these proposals are on the different sectors. One would be they have removed import duties on agricultural equipment and machinery. I think one of the things that is being thought about is to try and encourage corporate farming, because that is you see, our agriculture sector is a very unorganized, informal sector, and if you're really going to make sense of this, you need to corporatize some of them. So maybe this is a move in that direction. Half tax holidays will be granted to companies that use drip irrigation, greenhouse technology, and high-yielding seeds. Qualifying payment relief for machinery used for carrying fruits and vegetables. State will provide lands, warehousing, and cold room facilities, establishment of agriculture and fishery export zones, and a concessionary interest loan scheme to fruits and vegetable growers. So these are where the proposals will impact on the agriculture sector. And let's look at the sector for SMEs. Now this is a sector on which the budget spent a fair amount of time on. There is a big move to try and support SMEs through venture capital companies. There are a lot of concessions given to venture capital companies who provide financing to SMEs. There are some definition that needs to be done. What are venture capital companies? What are SMEs? Those I think we'll have to wait and see how those come out. Construction of industrial parks, because these are ways in which you can help an SME to set up and get into business quite quickly. 50% tax reduction for people who provide incubator assistance for SMEs. Creating a new SME board on CSC with less stringent compliance. I think, I'm not sure whether they will replace the SME board with the Dirisavia with this, or whether there will be still more concessions given, because now we have a Dirisavia board, which is for smaller companies, but they're talking of a new SME board for the CSC, and supermarkets to support the SMEs to providing greater shelf space and exposure. Impact on tourism and leisure. MICE is being pushed with 50% tax holidays for 5 years. There is a removal of the tourism development levy. There is triple deductions for those who do establishment of hotel school training, because I think that's a big issue. We have a lot of hotels forming, and finding people to manage that is a big issue. So that's, I think, is a very useful proposal. Removing import duties on caravan, carriages, yachts, surfing equipment, speedboats. These are all paraphernalia that need if you're going to develop the tourist industry. Tax concessions, providing state land for establishing theme park in lagging regions. Revising import duties on goods to evolve into a shopping paradise. I think what they're trying to do is to try to make this like Dubai. where people can come and shop. So electronics and certain items, they're taking some of these, reducing some of the duties to make this an attractive place for people to come and shop. And I think that's sensible because that's with the people around us, like we have India, Pakistan, we have South Asia, Southeast Asia. This can also be used as a useful, because Dubai is proving to be too costly now, and so is Singapore. And mandatory registration of hotels with the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority by 1st June. Because one of the things I think is that we have lots of small boutique hotels being started, and nobody knows what's happening, the revenue leakages, all sorts of things are happening there. All right, banking and finance. This is a very controversial one. I'm sure that people talking about it. Licensed banks to cease engaging in leasing, because I think the minister's view was that banks should do banking and let leasing be done by the leasing companies. There is different views on that. But I think the main point what may be of relevance would be, I think, there might be some move to try and get the banks to do more the banking, or even maybe leasing of equipment type of things. But motor vehicle leasing, I think, will become prerogative of the leasing companies. So increasing branch network by 15% in lagging regions with minimum 6 employees per branch. So that, maybe a move to enhance employment as well. Liberalizing the foreign exchange business subject to a license fee. Lending limits for agriculture 10%, SME, women and youth 5%. So these limits, I think for agriculture, we already had the 10%. So this is SMEs and women and youth 5%. There is the introduction of charges on cash withdrawals, an interesting one. If you withdraw 1 million and above, up to 10 million, it's 2%, beyond 10 million, 3%. I was talking to my partners in India and Pakistan, and they have an interesting thing. What they say is their limits are lower, I think 50,000 and 100,000 in Pakistan, and whatever deducted can be taken as a credit when you file your return. So they have a concept of filers and non-filers. So if you're a non-filer, then this tax is gone. This is like a tax source done. But if you are filing tax returns, whatever deduction from the withdrawals can be claimed as a tax credit in your return. So they are doing it as a move to incentivize people to file returns. In Sri Lanka, I think it's just a flat off 2% and 3%. I'm sure there will be some guidance of how this is going to be done. If not, creative Sri Lankan minds will find ways of trying to overcome this. But I'm sure there will be some clearly some rules and things will come in how to take care of this. We all have heard of this, withdrawing 950,000 not to get the 1 billion limit. But I'm sure they'll find ways and means of catching people in on that. But I think the idea behind that, I think, is a good one, to try and move us out of a cash economy, because I think the minister's viewpoint was that it also lends itself to corruption. So if you take it out of the cash into the banking system, not that it's going to eliminate, but the chances are.
LBR LBO Debrief, Business Climate Outlook of 2016.